All right, good Monday afternoon, everyone. Thanks for stopping by for a check of your forecast. Hope everyone's doing well today. It depends on which side of the cold front you're on. Some of us still feeling more summer-like right now, but a lot of us are behind the front here in the Texas Panhandle at this point in time. Front got here about 3 or 4 hours earlier than we were expecting yesterday. Shocker, I know. Again, all of that cold air has about 6 fences to run into between us and Canada, so there's not much stopping that cold air from getting to us. But you can see that front on the radar right now, currently tracking southwest. It's coming through Hereford right now. Tulia, you guys probably seeing that wind shift in the northerly direction as well. You can see we've got a bunch of highlighted counties. This is a frost advisory up here, which we'll break down in just a moment. But temperatures today, they were pretty hot. In fact, they were really hot down towards Childress and Paducah for an October standard day. 93 for the high in Childress, got to 94 in Paducah. We actually topped out at 83 here in Amarillo, but our high temperature has already been set. Again, we're post-frontal at this point. We're going to see those temperatures gradually continue to cool off. Currently at 75 degrees as we hit the top of the 4 o'clock hour, and 68 in Boise City. So here's the wind speeds. You can see them kind of breezy behind the front, sustained at 22 here in Amarillo, sustained more in that 15 to 20 range the further north and west or north and east you get. But we have seen some gusts as high as 35 to 40 miles an hour. So you're going to have some erratic winds, probably on that breezy to windy category, just intermittent through the next several hours. Hopefully, you guys don't have too many loose objects in the backyard. Otherwise, they may be susceptible to getting blown around. But the bigger story for tonight will be that first frost advisory for some of us of the fall season. If you want to protect the garden, or you're not ready to let go of it just yet, or you've got some sensitive plants, you either want to cover them up tonight or bring them inside. Otherwise, the end of your growing season could be here as we move into Tuesday morning. This frost advisory is going to cover the Oklahoma Panhandle. It's also going to cover Dallam, Hansford, Sherman, Ochiltree, Hartley, as well as Oldham County, and then we've got Hutchinson and Moore County in that as well. This does not include the Amarillo area, at least not right now. I do think it's possible that we get cold enough for a light frost here, but I don't think it is likely. That's going to be, I think, just to our west northwest. So we may escape the freeze or frost here in the Yellow City specifically, but it is going to get very, very chilly overnight tonight. You're probably going to want to click on that heater before you go to bed. 34 for your low in Dumas, Dalhart, and Guyman, Oklahoma. You guys were pretty chilly up there earlier this weekend. Sunday morning, I think Stratford was at 32. So they've actually already had their first freeze up there. It was a light freeze, but they did fall to 32 degrees on Sunday morning. So this maybe not quite as cold as you guys were on Sunday morning, or at least very close to where you were on Sunday morning. That's what you can expect. Here's your planner for tomorrow. After the cold start, it won't be bad tomorrow afternoon. Winds should be rather light. They'll turn back over to the west, southwest. They're going to be around 5 to 15. So pretty calm winds, especially for our standard. And we should be right around 70 degrees for that high temperature, which is not far off from normal in late October. So 70 degrees is your high here. Forecast in Amarillo, mid 70s in the southeast Panhandle, upper 60s as you get further north and west. Let's go ahead and walk you through the computer model. So there's that front continuing in a south journey. As we get to tomorrow morning, it should be calm, should be clear, should be very cold. That extra layer will be necessary if you're spending any kind of length of time outside. That ridge of high pressure keeps us pretty quiet tomorrow. Lots of blue skies expected. Winds will be calm as well. We'll have another chilly start Wednesday morning. Not as cold as tomorrow, but still down into those 30s, upper 30s, and lower 40s. And then we'll start seeing a pretty rapid warming trend for the next couple of days after that. Notice this south wind. This is return flow. You may have already seen that there are a few people talking about a severe weather threat later this week. It is something that we're watching. I am not sold. I'm a little hesitant to take the bait on us verifying severe weather here in the forecast zone of the Panhandle moving into Thursday evening. It's going to come down to the timing of that system and how much moisture we actually get pulled back up into the Panhandle's region, because this cold front is drying us out. I mean, you can see our temperatures bottoming out into the 30s tonight. So our dew points aren't going to be very high. In fact, they're going to be pretty abysmal for the next 24 to 48 hours. So storm chances, again, are going to really hinge on us getting some of that Gulf moisture pulled back in here, and whether or not we have any Pacific moisture aloft to maybe support some of that updraft maintenance. So we'll break that down here in just a second and talk about kind of what we expect to happen. But as we move into Wednesday evening, you can still see pretty mild heading into your Thursday morning. So that again is going to be out ahead of this upper level storm system. The exact track of this and the exact timing of it is going to hinge on whether or not we see moisture. My personal thoughts are we're probably going to be in mainly the dry slot of this storm system. That does not mean that we won't see rain, but if we do see any, it's probably going to be a very limited amount. Those storm chances look much healthier as you get back into central Oklahoma, back into North Texas, and this probably will extend all the way south towards San Antonio, down the I-35 corridor as well. You guys down there in central Texas, for those that follow this page, probably going to have some strong to severe storms to contend with on either Thursday night or Friday, or maybe both, just depending on how quick this low transitions from west to east. So that'll be the next weather maker that we'll have to cover. We're going to hang on to a 20% chance of rain here in the Amarillo area for that day. Let me pull it over just so that we can talk about it. All right. So again, kind of the reasons why we're hesitant on getting any kind of decent setup for severe weather on Thursday. What we're looking at is moisture aloft. So any of these greens and dark blues, this would be available moisture to work with in what we call that 700 millibar layer. That's a layer I like to look at for storms here in the Panhandle. So when you've got really high moisture in that region, usually our storms don't struggle so much. If it is very dry at this layer, we have noticed a pattern and a theme and trend. When we don't have moisture at 700 millibars, we almost always don't see storms maintain themselves. They try and maybe bubble up, but they just run into this dry air and they collapse, even though we've got all the other ingredients for severe weather potentially. So this is something that we need to really watch moving into Thursday. So you can see there is a little bit of moisture coming in here. A tongue, it's not crazy wet. I mean, you're talking about humidity values around 50 to 70%. We really like to see this in that 70 to 90% if you want to talk about having storms maintain themselves. But this is Thursday morning, so there is a plume of moisture trying to push across the region. This is Thursday evening at 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock rather. And you can see there is maybe enough here that we might get an isolated storm or two to try and survive some of this better moisture aloft. But again, the timing is going to be key. You can see there's a much better plume of moisture out here over portions of Kansas and Nebraska. And as we move into Thursday night, this stuff quickly exits the area. And so if we're going to get any kind of severe weather, it's most likely going to be over there in the eastern and northeast panhandles. But then we'll have to look at the severe weather parameters as well. I mean, we've got a decent amount of CAPE in here. We're talking about 1,000 to 2,000 joules. So certainly possible to see severe weather. I just think it's going to be very conditional, probably more on an isolated to scattered level. But any storm that does survive would probably be one that's capable of large hail, damaging winds, and we probably are going to have the wind shear just right in order to maybe see a supercell or two as well. So that'll be another thing to focus on. If we got the moisture and we've got the wind shear, sometimes those supercells can put down a tornado. So that may be something that we'll have to watch for the Thursday night, Friday morning time frame, which will be the next weather maker that we'll have to watch. That is all we have for you today. Thank you so much for stopping by. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon. If you're looking for some colder weather, we've got a handful of cold fronts coming through. In fact, next week, models are starting to really jump on board with probably a much stronger, potent cold air mass moving in behind another upper level storm system. That one probably not going to provide any moisture, but it could provide us with some very cold air. We'll have to talk that one out and break it